We're going to start with allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we are recording. Attendance. Denise let us know she will be running a little bit late, Jessica. Okay. Otherwise, we have everyone here. Do we have any added agenda items?
We don't, we just have the amended, agenda, which was still posted in time. It's on there as far as, new business vote.
So we'll get to that one when we get to that one. All right, and then commendations.
Yes. So we're pleased to share that we had, 3 teachers, complete, the teen teacher, program. What I can share with that is that requires, 2 years of professional, development geared to, new teacher orientation. That's necessary, to move forward to achieve their provisional certification and eventually their professional, certification. I can tell you it's no light task to participate in that program. It is a 2-year program. The process includes partnering with a mentor teacher, completing 5 modules aligned with the Common Core teaching. They meet a series of times, both with their mentor teacher along with as a collaborative group. That work has been led by Cheryl. She is in attendance to support our teachers with this recognition. And we, as I said, we do have 3. Unfortunately, 2 were unable to make it, but certainly want to recognize. So the first one I'll recognize, and we have certificates up there. So why don't we do that? So we'll like to mention all 3 names, but like I said, one's in attendance. So we have Zoe Stinson, which I know the board is all knows very well. She actually was assisting with the Big E band field trip today. So that's why she could not be here in attendance. Otherwise, she would be. We also have Brendan Elliott, who is East Windsor owned, also recently completed the program. Certainly very high on him as well. He had a family emergency he had to deal with last second, so he could not be here. And we are very fortunate to have Miranda Burke, elementary teacher, to join us and would like to come up and recognize you, Miranda. Congratulations. We know late task.
Congratulations. Thank you. Great. And then next on the agenda, we have our minutes from September 11th. Don't know if anybody has any changes, but if I could have a motion and then we can have discussion.
Motion to approve the September 11th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
We have a motion from Courtney.
Second.
And a second from Fran. Did you have something, Heather?
Yeah, under the adjournment, a motion was made by me. That was not here.
Oh, jeez.
I think it would be.
I think it was you, Noreen.
Motion to adjourn.
Was Heather, Denise Maynard.
All right, so Fran had Denise on there, so we can put Denise for making the motion to adjourn. She had that in her notes. All right. Is there any other changes to the meeting minutes? All right, we have a motion. Sorry, a motion by Tiffany and a second by Fran. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, Heather, for your short eyes. All right, this is the portion of our meeting where we have public participation. Do we have any public who would like to speak? All right, and Miranda, if you don't want to stay for the whole meeting, feel free to go. I don't want to keep you, but if you're interested, you're more than welcome to stay. We just, when we have different accommodations or families, we let them know they don't have to stay for the whole meeting, but
Yes.
so you're welcome to. All right, and next on the agenda, we have our student representative.
At Broadbrook Elementary School, they have been administering fall assessments. Teachers are using this information to plan instruction and set instructional goals for students. Families received their student results this week. On September 18th, PTO and Broadbrook School hosted a mileage club kickoff event. All Broadbrook Elementary and middle school families were invited. At the middle school, the student council election process is underway. Students have already submitted their interest forms and are now working on posters for the campaign. The elections will take place on September 27th. On September 19th, East Windsor Middle School had its first cross-country meet at Craig Computer Science and Engineering Middle School. Upcoming events include one at Elizabeth Park in Hartford on September 26th, followed by the Wickham Invite Meet on September 28th, where 25 students will participate. Students at the middle school have also begun proposing new clubs. Currently, we have student council, yearbook, and bracelet making club. High school students have been participating in taking the fall diagnostic of Exact Path. During the first administration, the school saw 80% of the students completing the reading portion, 83 the math, and 82 the writing. We followed up with the remaining students with a goal of having 100% complete the assessment in all areas. The National Honor Society is a selective club in high schools and colleges around the country. This national organization follows bylaws which apply to membership and pillars on which students are evaluated, the first and foremost being scholarship. In order to be eligible for membership, students must have a minimum qualifying GPA of 5.67. 26 students met with current NHS members and as advisors to talk about eligibility and the process of application. 20 of the 26 students eligible are from the class of 2026, which means 32% of the class has achieved the scholarship requirement to apply. Some additional things, we're also preparing to have our Powder Puff game on October 28th, which is where juniors and seniors play football against each other. I'm super excited for that. I'm very, very proud of all juniors because this is like, in our grade, we only had 8 eligible. Having 20 people eligible is like a huge deal for us. So that's something I'm super proud of.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate your additions and good to know about the upcoming games. All right, next on the agenda, we have a list of upcoming meetings and events, but I do think Patrick had a comment about one of them and we may need to.
Yeah, 2
Or-
actually. So just a reminder, the special meeting tomorrow is regarding reviewing, revising board goals. Darren will be available for that meeting. And then the other one I wanted to speak to is October 2nd. We have a facilities subcommittee meeting scheduled for 5:30, but it's my understanding that Board of Finance they had a cancellation with their meeting, and it looks like the makeup meeting will be at 6 o'clock that day. So then we'd reschedule our facilities subcommittee meeting. I also may need a special meeting that day as well with more information to come. So if just could maybe hold the October 2nd date, that would be appreciated.
What, I'm sorry, October 2nd, hold that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, please.
All right, and then were there any other dates in general that, or were they?
The only other one I would speak to is number 11 on the second page, the town of East Windsor Trunk or Treat. The administrative team will be participating again. Very tough competition. We strive to just be respectable. Winning is not necessarily a goal, but more about connecting with the kids and handing out the candy. If there's any board members that would like to join us, I can certainly share our theme. And if there's anyone that wants to donate, they can either bring it to the board meeting, to myself, any of the administrators, Jessica, or drop it off at the high school.
I have a question, Patrick, just around the meetings. So one of the things that I was wondering about is, I had wondered about results of the meeting, the expulsion meeting that occurred last Friday, right? And will there be an executive session to discuss the results of that meeting with board members?
It's my understanding I can research. That's not one of the reasons you would go into executive session, and nor do I believe I can share that due to.
No, I checked with that. That is a share.
Okay, so let me research and.
Research it, yeah. Okay, thank you.
So just so I understand specifically, the request, you would like to go have executive session to speak about the outcome.
The outcome of that hearing.
Do you want to talk about the process itself, or would you prefer, you want to know what it was about? Because process, we can address
At
tomorrow.
the policy meeting. Oh, okay. But the outcomes also. I understand that a letter goes out, but the letter is coming from the Board of Education. And so I think it's important for us to understand what the outcome was.
All right, I think we'll just have to check about that because in past practice, even when certain board members have been there, it's not like the whole board is informed about the hearing. That's not something that we've ever discussed with a full board before. So where this was handled by a hearing officer, I don't know why the whole board would then be informed, but we can definitely
I'll
check
just check into
what
it.
the,
I would appreciate that. When I looked at the policy, it did indicate that the board would be informed.
we can check
Just check. Thank you.
what's appropriate. Okay, were there any other questions or anything about the list of meetings upcoming? This is really more for informational usually to keep track of schedules.
I'll just, I mean, do you want me to remind people about this now or wait until miscellaneous?
I'm sorry about the.
Gosh,
Fine.
God, I was just looking at it,
The meeting tomorrow or the,
not the curriculum. The one that I chair. Policy review. Thank you.
oh, policy.
Policy.
So it's listed under October
The
16th.
number 7 one, yeah. I just wanted to make sure everybody that's on that got the email from Justin and Patrick and.
Is reviewing the
Yeah.
policies they need to be reviewed. So just make sure if you're on that committee that if you have questions to get them to Justin and Patrick ahead of time so that they can respond. Right? Is
Jessica.
that what you
Yes.
said?
Did anyone request a paper copy to your knowledge? Okay. With that too, because the policies are so large, they were shared electronically. If someone would like a paper copy, on that subcommittee, we can do that as well. Just, let myself, Justin or Jessica, any of us, know.
Yeah, I mean, we did mention that tomorrow night, but we can say that at the end too, but we do have our, tomorrow night is the Board of Ed special meeting at 6 o'clock to review board goals and our board. Review. All right. Next on the agenda is the curriculum report. Do you have an update for us? Mr. Ryan?
So, good evening. As I've done in the past, give a brief update tonight on our student achievement from this past spring. We'll cover some of our SBAC data, and primarily in this presentation, what I like to do is kind of give you a preview, or not a preview, but a look over the last 4 years and where our growth has come in those last 4 years. Pat, next slide. So obviously, the first slide here is what we're doing. This goes back to the conversation I usually have at one of our last meetings towards the end of the school year. Always in line with the portrait of the graduate and with our strategic plan, we're always looking at data. So when we got these scores in the spring and into the summer, what we're constantly doing is looking at our data, identifying areas that we need to attack, identifying deficiencies, and then making sure that we are preparing our professional development, as I spoke about last meeting, making sure our professional development is aligning with what teachers and students need in the classroom in the fall. And then focusing on improving student achievement to meet our portrait of the graduate goals, and then pushing our high achieving students and bringing up. So the next several slides will indicate exactly that. We're continuing to push our high achieving students and obviously continuing to push some of our learners who need the most support. And over the last several years, in the graphs that are in your packet, it does indicate that that is exactly what's happening. So Pat got it. So this problem goes back many years is the problem that we had identified at the time. East Windsor students were not consistently meeting grade level standards as assessed by state and national assessments. That, it can't be stated any more simply than that. And then how we chose to attack that problem. Going back again a number of years, we identified instructional walkthroughs, what was going on in each of the classrooms and each of the schools, and we needed to identify some of the solutions associated with that. Some of which are learning walks. One of the things we've just implemented over the last year or two are learning walks. So if you are a teacher in a classroom, you can go into a colleague's classroom. So if I'm particular teacher in a classroom and I struggle with classroom management and I know my colleague is very skilled at that, I can go into that person's classroom, get some pointers. We've talked about the use of our instructional coaches in the past. So that's been a benefit. Research-based, go back. Research-based high leverage instructional practices. We've talked about this. Some of our reading practices, some of our math practices, making sure student discourse and depths of knowledge and the rigor in our classrooms is consistently being pushed. Professional development, we talked about that. And new updated curriculum. We just had our curriculum council meeting tonight. We've adopted a number of new curriculum resources here in the district. We started with math. We had ELA last year. We've included phonics. We're piloting science. And then obviously continuing to look at the data. So English, over the last 4 years, percentage of students achieving a 3 or a 4, which is at or above goal. The SBAC increased, or it's SBA now, which I don't like, but increased from 39 to 45%. Now, this, remember, ELA was just introduced last year. So this primarily is from a new phonics resource, which we're in year 3, and some of those instructional practices which we've put in place. So this really, we've had our new ELA literacy core curriculum for 1 year. So I wouldn't give too much credence. Like, we've seen an increase, but I'm expecting we're going to see larger increases over the next several years, as we've seen in math. Even still, this is good, but I would expect to see more increases over the next few years. Percentage of students who did not meet goal has decreased by 10%. And then in the right-hand side, our Alliance District ranking. As you know, we're an Alliance District. There's 36 Alliance school districts. We're currently 7 out of 36 in that. Yeah.
I think Noreen had a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is all grades.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, grades 3 through 8.
3 through 8.
Yes, for SBAC testing.
Those are the only grades tested for those, for SBA.
So Noreen, for English, it's grades 3 through 8. Math, it's grades 3 through 8. For science, it's 5th, 8, and 11. And then there's other, specialized tests as well within that, like lost links, but that varies.
Is there a way to see by grade level
Yes, I could get you.
where those percentage,
Yep.
what the amounts are?
Yep, I can absolutely get you that. Is there, if anyone else wants that, I can certainly provide that, but,
Maybe just because I would like to see it too, so maybe just send it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the one caveat with that is it won't be cohort specific.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Go on to the next slide. Thank you. Math performance trends. So this is the first curriculum resource we decided to adopt. This was our lowest performing area, was math. And this was where we first chose to kind of attack our district problem, if you will. Percentage of students achieving a 3 or a 4 has increased from 26 to 43%. And percentage of students who did not meet has gone from 51 to 32%. And we're currently ranked 3rd out of 36 Alliance districts. I gotta tell you, I'm really proud of the work that's taken place at the elementary, in the middle, and into the high school. This is a tremendous amount of work. And I think it's a reflection of where that ELA and some of the science work that we're currently starting to kind of enter into and where the potential that we're going to kind of move toward. Got that. Science performance, again, I mentioned this is grades 5, 8, and 11. But the percentage of students here has also increased. Percentage of students who did not meet goal has also increased, which is an oddity. Mystery science is currently being used at the elementary school grades in 5th grade, so K to 5. Open Sci-Ed is being piloted in grades 6 through 8 this school year. They've taken a look at some of those units. The state came out with some resources last year. They got a chance to look at some of those resources, really liked it, really like some hands-on material. So I'm expecting some good things out of that. But again, we haven't really even touched science. And we've moved into our Alliance District ranking has gone 9. Oh yeah, absolutely. We are currently 9th out of 36 districts there. So again, I think you're seeing some positive trends. The things that we put into place, instructional practices, they are clearly working. But we're going to continue to analyze our data, look at the professional development, look at our trends, and make sure we adjust as necessary.
Really? Quick question.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of last year, we were talking about the high school and just the challenges that they were having. And this is a testing that includes 11th grade. So does 11th grade, did it have a huge impact on this? Or I'm just wondering, because the other ones are more of middle school. So the high school isn't really part of it. So I was just curious.
Yeah, so when I looked at the individual grade-based data, the high school has, over the last 4 years, has remained fairly level.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But I did look at that.
So Daryl, is there any reason why, just the SAT scores are not included?
They're in your packet.
They're gonna come?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the SAT scores are a little bit different animal, just because don't get the reports like this.
Okay.
But if you look in your packet, both the ELA and math are about mid for the Alliance District. And for our DIRG, I think on the last slide, Pat, in our conclusions.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So you'll see that SATs for ELA and math are right about the midpoint of our Alliance District, which again is not where we want to be. But from where we were a few years ago, those were at the very bottom. So we've seen movement, but I want to see those into that top third as well.
I know other people probably know this, but can you just review for me, like, how do you, not say qualify, but what distinction does the Alliance and how do you get out of that? Like, how do you move out of that?
So Alliance districts, there's 36 Alliance districts in the state. I think they've added some over the last couple of years. I think you
36.
Yeah. No, I know there's 36 now. I know they've added some people have dropped out of Alliance districts. It's based on socioeconomic status, I believe, in terms of where an individual town stands. And then obviously they measure that with your performance.
It has to do with percent of free and reduced lunch too, along with socioeconomic, like that's part of the Alliance District thing.
So, yeah, so those data points, I mean, I don't have the specifics, but it's like communities. So when we talk about Alliance District, these are communities. Of course, the graphs that I print out have all the names on them, but they're so small you won't be able to see them. But those names, they're all like communities to East Windsor.
If you have a little more detail.
Yeah, I can provide more information as far as Alliance District. So when you're thinking of the 36 Alliance districts, you're also talking about it serves 44% of Connecticut's student population. So although we have far more school districts, it's some of our largest school districts. represents 64% of Connecticut's students of color, 66% of Connecticut's low-income students, and 77% of Connecticut's English language learners. So there's a synopsis I've provided in the past to it, but I'm thinking maybe that was prior to you joining the board, Carrie. So what I can do is it's a one-page summary. I can get that to the board. It gets updated every year. So I have the most updated version of that as well.
That's interesting, Carol. I didn't realize that they were actually ranked too. I just thought it was a whole, so that they were ranked by, they're ranked based on how, again, performance is happening. So it must be, it has to be student performance, right? It's not because demographics wouldn't change, right?
Yeah, no, everything that is cited in here is based on our own student performance. Carrie, were you finished?
I have some more.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know other people know these things, but I just want to make sure. So like, so that we, regardless of like, if our test scoring goes up, we'll still be in Alliance District because of our population? Is that like correct?
So it's based not just on your, on level of need, but, student performance too. So you could essentially, like, if you're achieving at such a level, be out. Now, I will tell you, funding is associated with Alliance District designation.
That I do know.
That being said, it's my understanding that I believe there's only been 2 districts that, have moved out of that designation based on the set criteria.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So just looking at this, I mean, there's several conclusions. Last 4 years, and we did talk about that, we're trending in the right direction. Like I said, we chose to start with math. Math scores have really shown that. We put some essential practices in place across all buildings in terms of instructional practices. I think that's what you're seeing in terms of ELA, in terms of some of our science growth. Like that's where some of those growths are coming. And then we certainly, the performance on SBAC is bringing us closer to that goal of being in the top third of Alliance districts in terms of ELA and math and science performance. And that's great. But we still have growth to make in our SAT, our both our English and our math performance. But again, we're in the middle, and that's fine. Like that's part of the process. And then student performance related to other districts in our DIRG, which is DIRG F. And that's a district reference group, so that's a little bit different than Alliance. And we're trending in the middle or the top third, depending on what data points we're looking at there. So overall, certainly some good work. And, when we're looking at trend lines over the last 4 years, we're seeing a greater amount of students at or above, and we're seeing our students who are below. That percentage of students is decreasing year over year. So I think these are good signs. Questions?
It's good. Really good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm really proud of the growth. I think there's a lot of hard work at each of the buildings going on. I think people are really working together to make that happen. And, I think a lot of the questions that you ask at these meetings and a lot of the data that you're requesting, like this is all really beneficial for us to look at as well. Make sure we're continuing to analyze it. And I think that's, everyone kind of working together. We're seeing a lot of good growth. So.
One thing that I think probably like taking the SAT this year and being in this group definitely lowered our scores because it was the first time that we ever had taken it digitally. We took one PSAT digitally and none of us were prepared because our whole entire high school careers, we've been doing the pen and pencil, like dot sheets, reading whole things. They changed the entire format, changed all the math sections, like everything right on us. And I don't feel like any of us were prepared, but I know they've reshaped SAT prep for the current juniors. So
Yeah, and that was, so thank you for offering that. It was very good feedback, and the state actually did reach out to our guidance counselors and our admin in the high school and, and asked how the testing went. And we had provided that feedback. Because the previous year when we had the PSATs, we asked if we could do more administrations of the computer base, and we were denied. So we tried to give kids the opportunity to get that experience. And of course, the answer was no. But I think to your point, that makes sense.
Yeah, we were all just super unprepared and having this different sections. Like if you did that on the first math section, they'd give you an easier second section. But like people like me who did good on the first math section then got like crazy math on the second one. So our scores just were lower.
It's interesting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Two relevant, bits of information I want to share is, since 2014, 2015, the improvement of the original 30 alliance districts, which East Windsor is one, has outpaced the improvement of non-alliance districts in literacy, chronic absence, and graduation rates. When you're thinking in regards of improvement. And I can tell you it's timely. I participated in Alliance District meeting with all 36 districts, superintendents, along with the top ranking academic officials from the state. And we were the only district in which they recognized and acknowledged the work that we're doing in our academic work. And they specifically referenced our early literacy work. So we are being recognized among our peers as well too. So certainly Daryl definitely deserves some credit in leading our curriculum work.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate your time tonight and your dedication to all of this. All right, next we have our. Yeah.
Like, this is so good for us to see, and I know we've talked about this, and I just would love a way for like us to continue to brainstorm, making sure that the community does this. Obviously, we don't have a lot of people coming here to our meetings to hear these things. And you know, it can be sad and frustrating that people aren't realizing that there has been a lot of progress made. And so I know we've talked about it. I'm not sure that we've ever come up with 100% of the solution, but I think that it just really needs, we have to work on that.
Yeah.
Like it has to be worked on from us, from the superintendent's office. Like somehow we have to figure this out, because otherwise I don't think the community is going to ever trust that we're actually trying and doing good work, you know, and it's sad that people don't know that, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
So I know we have a meeting tomorrow to like work on gold, and I'm sure that that's something that was brought up by a lot of people, but even if it's another agenda item on another board meeting after that we can continue to have that like worked on. It's very important.
Financial report?
Sure. Obviously the financials are still kind of going through the upcoming audit process, and we're off to a good start for FY25. I think Noreen was going to kind of speak to the financial packet.
Our last financial subcommittee meeting, we didn't have it because we didn't have enough bodies. And time constraints with everybody's schedules. We're just gonna meet in October and cover both. So we have not looked through this thing together as a group. I've looked through it myself individually, and early in the year, it's probably exactly where it should be, but there's not a whole lot for us to talk about because we have.
Is there anything else specific? Like you said, the audit work is kind of ongoing to wrap that up from.
100% going. I mean, there's always going to be a couple little changes here and there as we go through the audit, but I don't expect anything major. We're off to a really good start in 2025. I've got pretty much everything posted to the live environment now. So, I anticipate we'll have the projections, earlier this year. I think we're saying December right now for our first, official projections. So I fully anticipate to hit that goal and, hopefully start the FY26 budget process sooner than we have in years past. Already that time again. So.
Brian, when you say that there's always going to be little changes, is that like because laws change, or is it because like you get a different auditor and he did different things, like, oh, you should be doing it that way, or?
A little bit of little bit like the auditors are always gonna find like little things here and there. Yeah, it could be something like, hey, I really think this should be booked elsewhere, like, I mean, we have thousands of journal entries on our end every year. So like when they're going through and they're picking things to test, they might say like, oh, like this actually hit this account. We gotta move, a couple $100 over here. So there's always like little changes here and there. But again, it's not gonna be, $100,000 swing one way or the other, but.
Thank you.
Anything else for financial? You want?
No, I mean, Ryan's really said it all.
All right. Are there any other questions or will we wait till the finance subcommittee kind of has a chance to look through that and then? All right. All right, next on the agenda, we have a personnel report, which is included in the packet on 42.
It starts on 42. Actually, it's one page today, 42.
So page 42. Thank you. Did anybody have any questions about, this is our kind of usual personnel report. This is, it was said it was prepared September 16th. So it kind of just has a couple appointments, transfers to either resignations or retirements, and then some different stipends for either, athletics or advisors, that type of thing.
I just have one question, please. Did we hire a math teacher at the high school?
We have a long-term sub in place, but we don't have a permanent replacement at this time. It's still posted.
But is that long-term sub like, does he have credentials as far as teaching math? Or is it just regular?
Has a math background but they're not certified.
What's Discovery?
It's our therapeutic behavioral program, special ed program.
Next on the agenda, this was an added item to our amended agenda that Heather can speak to about the Broadbrook chimney repair. Chimney repair.
Yes, so reading policy, the superintendent, does have the authority to award, the lowest, bid. But we want to be respectful of any possible town procedures, because we do have to access a CNR account, that was set aside through SIP. As you may recall, I believe it was about, 90,000, Ryan.
Yes.
That was allotted, for the Broadbrook chimney repair. So we feel fortunate that we did get 3 bids and, working with Garland, who, assisted with RFP, the lowest bid, came under, and they said it was a very reputable, company and that we should feel good about going with them. So we were looking to, essentially get the board's vote, to, go with the lowest bid and move forward. So we can access the funds. It is a minimum 4-week turnaround just to get the materials too, because they're not on hand. Certainly between myself and Ryan, we can answer any questions anyone may have.
Are we talking about going with the JHS restoration?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And it's gonna be a metal wall, this one, like they had talked about, like they're not taking down the brick, they're putting up a metal.
Correct, yes. Yep.
So if I recall correctly, that chimney goes to nowhere. It has no function, correct?
Correct. I know the question came up, would it be less expensive to knock it down? The answer came back, no.
Do we have a cost on that?
It was significant in the ballpark numbers that I was hearing from Matt,
What was the ballpark number?
like 200,000-300,000.
To take brick out?
That's.
And Pat take it away.
He's the expert. I can-
If I recall, part of the conversation was, I thought he indicated it was structural. So even though it wasn't in use, there was a
Oh, okay.
structural function to it. Yeah.
It says in here that asbestos, that we need to do asbestos for meeting. Under investment, it says any asbestos or ATM discovery to be excluded from this proposal. Owner is responsible for testing. Have we tested for asbestos from that year?
We have not.
Just all standard things.
I think there wouldn't be a reason this purchase, if they're putting wood on the frame and then they're sticking the nail on it, I think that.
That never came up in my conversation with Matt, so I think we just in case it, then I'll just.
What about the lightning rod system though that they're excluding? Is that something that they think will stay the way it is? Fine.
That part, to be honest, didn't come up in my conversation, so I was under the assumption if it stayed the same as it is.
So now, Patrick, the process is that you, award the bid. And then we.
Well, I'm asking for, a vote to,
approve the contract.
to move forward with awarding the bid, although our policy allows us to do it. We were unsure. My conversations with Ryan, who I know, also spoke with Bill Greenwood, were entirely, confident as far as like what's required on the town end sometimes to execute contracts, access the CNR. So it may be, an unnecessary step, but we just want to make sure we cover all bases before our next board meeting. This all kind of came kind of fast, so we got, it came, I think, across yesterday morning.
So you're looking for approval to award the bid and approve the work. Or what?
Approve the awarding of the bid to, JHS Restoration.
So if there's no further questions, I'll make that motion.
1 second. All right, so Denise has made the motion. Do we need specific wording to award the bid to JHS Restoration?
I think that'd be fine.
$69,690.
Authorize the superintendent to sign the contract.
There you go. That's what I was trying to.
Thank you, Nora.
What the, I knew there was something like that.
All right, so Denise made the motion and Fran seconded it. All right, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda, we have any liaison or subcommittee reports. And we have something listed here in terms of the capital improvement inventory list, so was somebody gonna speak to that?
I believe Denise was going to speak to that.
That's why I'm here.
So on page 44,
43 and
43 and 44, sorry, we have a little information as well.
So when, trying to figure out what we were going to submit to capital. And I spoke with Heather as well, and she's in agreement, with the two capital, employees, people that, we should probably keep it to a minimum. I don't remember if we talked to the whole facilities committee about that.
we did. It was an agenda item.
So, to keep it to a minimum, because we are in the middle of trying to figure out what we're doing with our buildings, to not throw good money after bad. And honestly, the way things appear to be going, something will be done with the upper grades first, and Broadbrook School would be the second phase or third phase of whatever we decide to do. So, that is probably where we concentrate. This is going to be a long process. It's not going to be a couple of years and we can patch our way through. Although one of the things is patching the roofs, additional repair of the roofs. Asbestos removal out of the ceiling tiles in some of the rooms that really need it. And is it the third phase of the boilers? Or we did two already, I think, right?
So I was actually gonna ask about that. The way this was worded, I wondered if it was third phase or if it was suggesting to replace.
Well, I think.
It's a second bank. Each bank has, I believe, three
Per bank.
and it's the second bank.
And we're only on the second bank, so we have a third bank.
Yeah. That's
We paid for one And then didn't we just put money,
Yeah.
money just got put into CNR for second. So
Correct.
this would be the.
No, well, no. So I'm going to back it up a little bit. So yes, were awarded 200,000 through SIP for the second bank, which at the time seemed reasonable because we had recently replaced the previous bank for 170. We put it out to bid through RFP along with securing quotes. So we did both. Securing quotes through vendors on the state bid list. And the lowest that came through both processes was 321. No, 321 at the time. So now that was now you're talking months ago. So now we're about approximately about 350, which means we're about 150,000 short. So this is still to move forward with it. So yes, we do have money in CNR account, but it has not been utilized because it's not enough.
How much did you pay for the
170.
So for,
So it's double.
Next-
It's double since we've done it.
yeah, it should.
I want to be in that.
Yeah, you're right. It was 321, 620.
Yeah, well,
You're-
at that time, but now we're budgeting, because it includes, I believe, a 10% contingency based on what we've learned, 350,000, so 150,000.
This is a very nice list.
Yeah,
This-
Kyle really deserves,
really good
the credit for the work and the organization around.
Yeah. Very easy to read.
Yeah, certainly connecting with Denise. I know we've met with her a couple of times. Obviously, those meetings were helpful with putting this together as well.
But Kyle has been delightful to work with. He's really, he went through the entire list and took out things that I probably saw when I was first selected on the list that are, just outdated and stuff. He worked very hard to put a binder together. It was a killer binder, but it was such a killer binder that we decided to just put, hold on, excuse me. We decided to, sorry. Music songs, it's not my husband.
I was gonna say, yeah, are you okay?
Oh, you fell down, I'll call you back. So we decided to minimize the binder. We're putting in, if I remember correctly, we put in the things that we're asking for this year and a brief thing about the others in the back so that the capital improvement group will concentrate on the three that we want now, but we don't want to lose the history of the others. So we don't need all the pictures and the quotes that will be outdated by the time we get back to that.
Yeah, so like one binder was, the original binder with every project is about this big. So rather than make 21 of those binders, we did make, I believe we made 3 based on Denise's recommendation, one for each. So there's a master copy for each board. So I know we have Sarah from the Board of Selectmen, you will have a master copy, but you'll each, as far as what we're bringing forward, you're going to have a much smaller binder about that big.
So there's one for capital improvement, for the Board of Selectmen, and one for the Board of Finance of all the detail. But, the capital improvement, in fact, I'll pick mine up, is a nice little binder that is much more concise, and that's all we really need.
So we'll see you Monday.
Yes. Yep, 7:00. We're presenting to the SIP committee at Park Hill, 7:00.
First one.
You're the only ones that-
We're the only one on the agenda, which I honestly appreciate. I don't know who put it together, but I do
I don't
appreciate
think there was. When we had a meeting, it was scarce.
Yeah.
Passed in our state, so
Yeah.
you got an A+ for getting your stuff in on time.
And like you said, I like how the list was done in terms of having, projects in process or recently completed, system projects, and then like each school broken out. I think that's really helpful to kind of see.
And I don't know if Kyle did that with Patrick's guidance, but I thought Kyle had pretty much
Did a great job.
together.
Or they both be together depending on how, it's just clean. I like it.
The only thing I would say about the way the boiler system thing is listed, the way it said would need to be replaced for a more reliable and cost-effective heat source before they expire. I thought we were talking about changing to something rather than just getting new boilers. So I was slightly confused by that, so.
I will say, I think when you go into, the binder, you actually have pictures of what's currently in there. So we have the older one and then you have the picture of the one that was recently replaced.
So you can see
yeah.
the difference.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And so you have additional narratives with each project, within. So I will tell you, Kyle took numerous, pictures of every, project. So the roof, there's numerous pictures. The tiles of the classrooms, he has, pictures of those. He has, updated quotes on all those as well too. So, so he has all the necessary up-to-date information along with, visuals.
All right, and those quotes are on the second page here in terms of like
Yeah.
how much we think different things are gonna.
Correct.
cost.
What you have in the inventory list is just the summary page. It's really just the cost associated with the project, but each project has a narrative itself along with any supplemental information.
But the in process or completed is a whole new category that
Yes,
was just introduced this year, which I think is really cool.
absolutely.
Very.
Yeah, no, that's definitely helpful. Yeah.
So the top, we can see the top priorities. And then is there a total for what you'd be asking for the top priorities? Is that on this?
I mean, so in the past, the process has been, each project is,
So,
individual, and considered individual. So it's, I mean,
Yeah.
even though we're saying these are top
Yeah.
three priorities, we also understand, I mean, if you're basing it on past practice, we've been very fortunate that we have had projects go
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
But typically we haven't had as many as three go through.
and is that, are these the order of importance?
They are.
On a side note with that, where are we with the high school track?
I've been working on it every day. I can tell you I drive back there every day, so they are working on it every day. I haven't asked for a recent update. I mean, you can tell they're working. It's been dug up. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert on it. But
Laying substrate.
yeah,
Pictures yesterday or the day, were there pictures yesterday or the day before? I just remember seeing pictures recently or something.
Yeah, I saw those. I was just wondering if they had an ETA.
Thank you, Denise, for that report and your good work on these projects. I know being on CIP is sometimes a good thing. We appreciate the increased involvement.
Also related to facilities, last week was a Board of Selectmen meeting and, the selectmen voted to amend the contract, I think is what the vote was.
They approved the contract to include the referendum specialist.
Yeah, with much discussion and certainly, I think Sarah can speak to, it was not just a nod of everyone's head. We needed to make assurances and I think everybody on this board, would agree that there is in no way any kind of feeling that we don't want to include everybody. It's just where we are in the process. And that in fact, I think the way I'm envisioning it, so it must have been the way I said it, was that, we are so in a preliminary place that in order to go forward and do it in a intelligent, planned manner, that, this specialist is exactly what we need at this point.
I appreciate, speaking on behalf of myself and, I did have the opportunity to watch the video, so it provided some insight and, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So Patrick, can I ask just even about, like, I know that you met with with teachers and staff in the school system in terms of some of their recommendations and their thoughts. Will something come forward, that we have that's a little more specific about what they're thinking?
Yeah, so I can tell you, we had one out of the two meetings.
Okay.
So it was, high school staff, middle school staff is actually tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And the questions are very specific as far as space. So
Yeah.
you may be asking the science teacher, things regarding like space for like, lab space. I mean, that was a big thing. Sinks.
Yeah.
Like work, like is it,
Yes,
you know,
it's very
like
clear.
individual versus like small group? outlets was a popular,
Oh, really?
topic that came up as far as,
Well, our student is nodding yes to everything you're saying.
well, and that was one of the things, when you think of today's students, every student has a one-to-one device.
Right.
So, and I mean, even a good device that holds up a charge for 3 or 4 hours, students are in school for 7 hours. So even if it's completely charged, it's going to have to be charged in school. So you need a large number of outlets. So it was more about that discussion than, saying like, well, where do you think the gym should be located or something like that.
Right.
It was more about getting the necessary. So when you move to that, so when you're thinking about like location or like existing footprint versus building the new, you have the priorities of what's taking place with teaching and learning. So it's really more them taking the process as far as fact gathering. So I can tell you, the person from the educational background is a former superintendent, former classroom teacher. And I will tell you, and Daryl was there as well. Very complimentary as far as our curriculum and with speaking with the teacher. Also, a topic that came up yesterday was the number of programs we're able to do with special education, and her recognizing right away, the amount of how it saves the district
Yeah.
funding by being able to provide that. But she said that's certainly going to have to be a discussion. So, so there's certain themes that emerged from that, but that was one school. We have another school tomorrow.
And so will there be a compilation of some, I mean, not that specific detail, so that, that we kind of have an idea of.
Yeah, I mean, my expectation is something is going to be produced.
Yeah, okay.
But my expectation
Yeah.
would be that it would be CSG that would be producing that
Okay,
and some
okay,
pricing network,
okay.
because they're the
Based
ones
on that.
leading the
Yeah,
work.
okay.
Yep.
Good. Thank you.
Now, I don't know the turnaround on that, but.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering. Because I think that's one of the things when we're talking about this too, in terms of the steps, right? That the initial phase is really kind of talking to staff and seeing what they actually need. And that's the phase we're doing right now.
It is.
So it helps for people to understand, other things will be coming, but this is what's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And just even going back to the term referendum specialist, I think, the terminology is misleading, because you hear the word referendum, you think you're going to vote. It's really about the process and how you get to the referendum. How do you connect with your stakeholders? How do you get community input? Like, how do you, how do you organize the focus groups? How do you do the surveys? What's the time you get it out? And it's more about the process than, getting to the end.
Right.
But this was an initial step, and it was, a learning process.
Do we have to call it referendum? Can we change the name? Because I don't like that name either.
I don't think we can change that name. No, I think that's that in the state situation. I don't think that's something.
That terminology came from CSG.
Yeah, it was
You know, like,
exciting, wasn't
it was,
Oh,
so
okay.
the gentleman's name was,
Oh, you mean for the
Mr.
specialist?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you were saying for actually.
I'm just saying, as we're kind of putting it out there.
Let's just call him something
Mr.
else.
Referendum is our consultant.
his name's Ira. We can refer to him.
I don't know, it's
That would be much
just
more
appropriate.
appealing.
Yeah, well, and.
I'm sorry, Courtney, what did you say? Community engagement. Yeah. Or something. Yeah. That's special.
I have a question with that. What is the anticipated timeline in terms of like progressing with the referendum specialist?
I think ideally, like when you really get the ball rolling, you look at 10 to 12 months.
Or
Like to get to to a vote, like to get to the
Okay.
process where you bring something forward to the community.
but are there gonna be like routine meetings between you, like, and the specialist, or is that gonna be like a board meeting with the specialist, like, that will touch base with them?
Yeah, so completely transparent. My first time going through this, CSG is really, essentially they're the owner's rep in this. Certainly as far as the timeline, they're going to be advising on it. And, the first step is really just getting that ed specs, which we're doing, right now.
And I think they do plan to do a timeline for it.
Yeah, I think a timeline will be part of that.
Or,
I'm sorry, if that was the question, yes, it will be a timeline, yes.
Is that timeline going to be shared with just us or Board of Selectmen will get that as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, that would be shared with everyone.
yeah, that would be a public document, I would think.
Something else that the Board of Selectmen approved was I believe it's the Arts and Culture Commissioner Committee, the crosswalk art that I believe is going on the brick for right here. Which I think is pretty cool since we've had some issues with people wanting to use it. I think people will really enjoy using the crosswalk once it's completed.
So is it going to be multicolored?
It sounds to me like
Not a
it's gonna be
rainbow.
like a mosaic of.
I just said multicolored, that's all I said.
Well, there's some
There was-
mosaic.
I am definitely not trying not to.
It's a whole bunch of different colors.
Yeah.
Multicolored.
What other colors?
Whatever paint they can get.
Yeah, it's stuff that they don't want to step on.
Put little
jumps
on
on every blue one I could find.
Maybe they could put a hopscotch footprint.
We don't want to be laying.
I was gonna say, we have one of have to consider where it is. We can do hopscotch on the blacktop in the back. I'm not crossing the road. No. Was there anything else, Courtney, from Board of Selectmen that you,
No, Denise covered the rest that I had written. No.
were there any other liaison or committee reports?
PTO had their first meeting 2 weeks ago. And they've also had their first event. They came to the monthly mileage club. And they had what they call the color run. The kids all had ribbons and ran to the mileage club with ribbons. The PTO was there to, they had water and snacks and stuff like that. So they're busy. They're starting to prepare for the events that are upcoming. They're doing a grandma's pie fundraiser. Which is out now. If anybody's interested, you can go on the PTO website or their Facebook page. They no longer have a website, they have a Facebook page. And you can get information there.
In like the board thing.
Yeah. I could say that under miscellaneous if you want. That's fine.
That's fine.
You said PTO. I was just gonna say, I think boosters are meeting tomorrow night. I
They
think
met yesterday
email. Oh, yes.
or Monday. Actually, it was their first meeting.
Okay. I don't know. Sorry. So boosters, do you have any booster report you'd like to share?
They met Monday. And they're starting now, they're looking at, starting up they're concentrating right now on homecoming stuff and, powder puff and senior recognitions for the soccer teams and fall sports. So.
All right. There's no other liaison or subcommittee reports. We have a second option for public participation. I think we still have the same people that we had earlier. Do we have any public participation that anybody would like to comment? Anybody? Going once, going twice? Okay. Miscellaneous, do you have something for miscellaneous?
I do.
I was just gonna share I think everybody got this in an email, but on October 4th, there will be some soccer games at the Abbey Road Soccer Complex. The boys, East Windsor High School boys soccer team is playing at 4 p.m. and the girls are,
I don't believe it's our
U13.
girls. So I think it's like an in-town, like travel team.
so a travel team, the U13 girls team is playing at 7:00 and there's going to be a ribbon cutting at the field.
Correct. So Melissa Maltesi had reached out. There's a flyer. I believe it's been emailed to the board as well, but everyone's been invited to the ribbon cutting at 6:30 prior to the lights going on for night soccer game.
All right. Was there other miscellaneous? Did you have one,
I
Noreen?
do. I am going to, take myself off of the facilities subcommittee. Effective immediately, so I'm not sure how we go about having someone else get back on that.
And was there discussion of that meeting at a different time too? Are we having to figure out a different meeting time or is that?
Yeah, that's nothing to do with me.
You weren't here yet,
Oh,
Denise,
sorry.
but,
Oh, something else.
but it looks like the Board of Finance is going to have a special meeting at 6 o'clock for the one that was canceled. The time that we have a facility subcommittee, so I think we'll probably have to reschedule the facilities,
And when was that?
October 2nd.
And then I'm gonna be going into early voting not too long after that. So if we can't have it in like the following week.
Yeah, so I figure you and I could
Yeah.
connect offline and
Yeah.
and find some dates.
Sorry, you said facilities. In my head, I heard athletic. I don't know why. So facilities, you're gonna be off the facilities subcommittee. Okay, so we'll have to figure out maybe on the next agenda if we need to assign a different person to the subcommittee. Yeah.
Look into how many people we have.
Yeah, if we need another one or who the alternate is or how we want to fill that, we can look into that.
Before we replace Noreen, I would like to ask her to reconsider.
No.
No. Okay.
All right, Betsy, did you have?
I just have one question. Patrick, around registration for the CAPE conference, where are we with that? Have we registered people yet or everyone's registered? Do we get some kind of notification?
We did not, so when Daryl and I attended last year, we did not. I remember. Because I remember this came up last year for the people that attended and I had to have Ryan reach out because obviously the payment went through our business office.
Yeah.
I did verify we were registered. We can do the same, but we didn't receive verification, like they didn't like send something, you've been registered.
They didn't.
No, so it's just you paying, knowing that you have to somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, we could just get something
No.
just to remind people.
I think I have an email from her that just says like, thanks, but I can reach out and get some.
And remind people, yeah, what day that is, because I think a few people have to take off from work if they're gonna. It's November 15th, I believe.
We appreciate your money, maybe you won't.
No, that's okay. I just felt like there was a lot of crosstalk.
Kate,
And I
it's not-
thought-
it's those that email, that's- all right, well, we'll.
Can double check.
So we'll have to check who it is specifically, right?
Yeah, we can double check who and make sure everyone who wanted to be registered is registered.
Yeah, I don't think everyone expressed interest in attending.
No.
But we can confirm who did and, we can, you know what, we'll email the entire board who, expressed interest, who's registered. And if there's someone that's still interested that wants to attend, honestly, it's never too late to get them in, so we can put that out.
But I believe it was, is it November 15th, I think was the date that we
Yes,
discussed
that's
earlier.
Oh,
So that's the Friday.
October.
No, we're saying November, so that's why I just wanted to let Gabby know. It's definitely, but I think there was discussion, is it a Friday and Saturday?
Yeah.
Situation, so if some people need to take work off or something, we just want to make sure people have notice if they did sign up, so.
While we're on CABE, did anybody else get a letter from them this week that said something about how many credits we've earned? But I don't understand.
Heather did apparently.
What is that?
I gotta know.
A lot.
Is it related to the classes we went, or the seminars we went to at the conference last year? The only thing I could think of.
Heather,
So-
how many did you get? I'm just curious.
2 credits.
5,000, that's it.
That's great, Heather. You're certified. Congratulations.
I got one. They ain't certified, by the way. Certified one. One credit.
I got 2.
So
So
four. What?
what is that?
So I mean, I'm not on that correspondence, so I can't, speak to what you received. I do know there was a somewhat recent legislation 1 or 2 years ago and, which states that school board members have to complete so many hours of, training, or professional development. So this is K being the governing body of school boards, probably, providing some type of verification of, like the number of credits, you've completed.
Is that on a yearly basis?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the weather.
It's probably from last year's conference.
Yeah, it's probably from what you went to
If
last.
you went to 4 things, especially if you attended 4 things, you probably got a credit for
I
each.
think it's.
Did you attend the thing?
I did a half, I went.
I went
Yeah,
for-
you were you were
Yeah, I went
Saturday,
for-
Saturday, Friday?
I went
I
Friday.
think we
The whole
started
Saturday.
Friday and we went Saturday. I think that's what, it's actually, it's usually a half day.
It must have been like one of the classes we took then.
Yeah, in addition, anything that Nick Caruso has come, I mean, he has stated that that counts as time and hours too. So I know, he's come on a few occasions as well. Now, how they track that or how he logs that, reports that, I'm not quite sure.
I don't know.
Hey, I have one more miscellaneous. It's just something perhaps we could think about. I'm wondering if we can possibly contemplate reporting secretaries for our subcommittees. Because I was very bad at getting the athletic subcommittee minutes to Jessica because I thought I sent them my hand tap typed. And honestly, when you're in our meetings, our subcommittee meetings, it's very hard to participate and take minutes. It's almost impossible. I don't know if everybody else has the same situation. Like on the finance committee, Ryan's taking them, Patrick's taking them, I'm jotting things down. I'm thinking it may be worth at least considering the possibility of using recording secretaries of some kind for those committees.
All right, and minutes was actually one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about. We've been taking minutes for the subcommittees, where they're living, how that's working. So I think that's a legitimate concern and something that we could I can kind of discuss with Patrick too and see kind of how we want to
Sure, they do get posted.
handle that going forward.
It's hard to participate in.
And take the minutes. Well, and I know that just from being board secretary sometimes,
It's hard.
yeah. Okay.
Also, speaking of meeting participation, our link to like our virtual sessions for our regular meetings, where is that publicized?
They're not, so they're recorded, but it's not,
Okay, that was my confusion.
We don't have one right now, but that's actually one of the things we might be discussing.
yeah, my understanding is that part of a discussion during. board
That was one of the things that I have on my list, been something that we, yeah, up for discussion tomorrow night. So we can discuss that tomorrow, but yeah, there isn't a link right now
Okay.
for active. There's a Zoom link recorded afterwards, but there isn't like an active,
Okay.
or not a Zoom, a recording that's listed.
So
But the
could people
recordings aren't
access?
posted.
Right,
You
so
can't
people
Zoom
can
in.
access, it. Cannot, no.
Correct. It's not a hybrid meeting.
No,
But it's also not posted someplace after, is it?
The videos all, they're on the website.
Oh, they are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was some
Okay.
criticism, I don't remember where, but there's.
Those regarding the subcommittees, our subcommittee meetings
subcommittee
are recorded, our board meetings are.
and they're on our website?
Yep.
Yes.
They're not that easy to find.
They are. I was
They're
looking
not
for
at
it.
all easy to find. You kind of have to, you know, I know where they are now.
So that might be something we could discuss too, if they need to be more centrally located or where they are, I can talk to Patrick about that as well too, but I can take a look. But I know that was something that came up as far as like if it could be a Teams meeting, that can be then a hybrid meeting, then you
But it still would be a Google Meet.
or Google.
Because we're Google.
Sorry, I forgot which one it was. Google.
But there'd be a Google link for them to log in on.
So what,
Could participate in the meeting that way.
yeah, so we're gonna discuss that tomorrow night. All right, any other miscellaneous? All right, I think I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Wait a minute. Okay, Heather made the motion. And
I thought you were gonna give one more.
we'll make this clear that time is apparently was not. Yeah. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, everybody.